This question asks us the main purpose of the text, so let's just dive right in and start to read, and hopefully some ideas kind of pop up for us. In the late 1800s, Spanish language newspapers flourished in cities across Texas. San Antonio alone produced 11 newspapers in Spanish between 1890 and 1900. So maybe I should have underlined flourish. That seems like a positive word. But El Paso surpassed all other cities in the state. This city produced 22 newspapers in Spanish during that period. El Paso is located on the border with Mexico and has always had a large population of Spanish speakers. Thus, it is unsurprising that this city became such a rich site for Spanish language journalism. So it's about the Spanish newspapers, but it's also about El Paso, right? El Paso is the best, something like that. So let's take a look. Let's look at the choices, see what we get. To compare Spanish language newspapers published in Texas today with ones published there during the 1800s. Well, it really just seems that it's about the 1800s. So today we're bringing in this concept of time. It's not really there. We even have the word compare. We know that comparisons are things that we need to think about when we see them in answer choices. That's a common reason that answer choices are wrong. So here I don't see the comparison of time in this passage. It's maybe a different kind of comparison, but not a comparison of time. B, to explain that Spanish language newspapers thrived in Texas, so positive, good, and especially in El Paso during the 1800s. Yeah, okay, they thrived, but El Paso was the best. This seems right, but I don't know, maybe I'm missing something. Let's look at C and D. To argue that Spanish language newspapers published in El Paso influenced the ones published in San Antonio during the late 1800s. This is way too specific, right? So they do mention El Paso. Did they mention? Yeah, so San Antonio is a particular example that they pulled up, but this is, again, taking it too far. They just mentioned San Antonio for the sake of having something to mention. It is not that they are arguing that El Paso was helping or influencing San Antonio in some way. So this is just kind of getting the order wrong. Basically, they're mentioning two examples. San Antonio kind of just quickly, and then El Paso becomes like the big example of like, hey, this place, because of its geography, was really, really good at having all these different newspapers. So this is just taking it too far. The word influenced is really the problem here. They're not saying that one influenced the other. D, to explain why, Spanish language newspapers published in Texas were so popular in Mexico during the late 1800s. Turn that into a question. That's why I looked at the word why. Why were Spanish language newspapers so popular in Mexico? I don't know. Where does it say? It talks about Texas. It says that they were in El Paso, they were popular, but that's not in Mexico. El Paso is in the United States, so they don't answer this question, right? This why just isn't there. So B, I thought was going to be right, and this is a good example too of like if you were somehow between B and something else, like I think B just flows more naturally with what they're saying. That our dumb summary kind of matched with this one. So try to just keep it as simple as possible. But notice how I'm going through the choices, even on questions that aren't particularly hard. I'm not just saying, oh, this answer feels right. I'm looking at the other choices. I'm coming up with reasons that they are wrong. That is the skill you need to keep developing, even on easy questions, so that you're ready for the hard ones.